Hi everyone, Pastor Geoff Woodward here, and welcome to another fabulous Grow session. I love the whole idea that, no matter what my level of life is at the moment in every area, whether it's in my relationship with God, whether it's in my relationships with others, whether it's in areas of my character, my resilience, that I can always grow. There's always more that God has for you and for I. We haven't got there yet. We're still on the journey. And so that's why I'm excited that in this session with you today, I've asked Pastor Michael and Linda Battersby to share with us about difference and about how we are created by God differently to one another. The Apostle Paul addresses this in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and takes an entire chapter to underline for every single one of us the fact that God has made us all unique and that uniqueness is for a purpose. Can I say to you that the uniqueness has got two expressions? One is in our function. That is the gifts and the talents that we have, the way we interact and the way we form a part of a team, the way we serve God. And thank God for all of you that have brought your gifts and your talents to the work of God, to the outpouring of the gospel in so many different ways and so many different expressions. I think that's fantastic. But in the other part of it, it's not just about our function, it's about our friendship, the way we relate to one another. If you haven't noticed already, every one of us is different. No one's just like you. They don't think like you. They're not motivated like you. They don't express themselves like you do. And if you and I are going to go on to become incredibly fruitful and used by God, then we need to understand how God has made us. So you're going to hear Pastor Michael and Linda talk about some of the inherent characteristics that each one of us carry. Understand that they're not speaking about this to put you in a box or to give you a label, because every single one of us, I guess, depending on the environment we're in, we will respond differently. And so it's not about a label or about a box. It is, though, about every single one of us going on the journey of saying, God, how have you made me? And then how can I bring that uniqueness to your work and to your purposes? And I pray that that'll be the kind of heart that we have. So here's Michael and Linda. Lean in and listen and learn. This is part one, by the way. Part two, they're going to drill down even more into the practical and give us some of the examples. Look at some of the life of Jesus and how that worked out with the disciples and their followership of Christ. God bless you. Lean in. I'll be back at the end just to share with you and pray with you one more time.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Pastor Geoff. It is a great privilege to be here doing our Grow session for tonight, and great to have my wife, Linda, as the guest presenter. I'm just asking the tough questions, and Linda's going to be answering for us, but hopefully she's looking at me like, am I? There's going to be a bit of to and fro, and it's talking about that very, very important thing of personality. And a lot of people don't understand personality. They think they haven't got one. Maybe they think they've got more than one. They wish they were married to someone who had a different personality. The bottom line is it can actually be a real gift. And I believe God's called us to actually understand ourselves, understand Him, so that we can better serve, love, and reach one another and be a part of the answer. And personality is a big part of that. So just on the outset, Linda, I'll be pitching these questions about personality that will help you maybe identify what are your preferences, what are your propensities, and then maybe the challenges of those things and the opportunities for those things. But before we get into the I guess the nitty gritty of that, I just wanted to say that firstly, there's no right and wrong personality. There are different theories about personality, different profiles, different psychometrics and tools and instruments. You might have heard of the Big Five by Isaac. He talks about neuroticism and agreeableness. You might have heard of the temperament by Kiersey. They talk about, melancholic, sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, the big four, based on Hippocrates' 4 fluids. He observed these 4 fluids, and people can be like these fluids, fast, slow, hot, cold. And there's always different things like DISC and different profiles, which Lynn and I, we're fascinated with this stuff. And so is Pastor Geoff. He's done a lot of this as well. But we're going to take it from a slightly different paradigm, and it's the area of traits. So we have certain traits in our way we do life, certain traits in how we interact with people, and they're observable. You can see that a lot of these traits, but some of them are also internal traits that help us I guess, manage life. How do we manage life and how do we interact with life? So personality traits are really important. We have different propensities that lead us to become who we are. So Linda, in the area of personality, the actual thing, personality in terms of interacting in life and dealing with people, why is it so important? Why is personality such a big factor?
I suppose personality is something that really sets us apart in really meaningful ways. And we make a lot of life decisions based on our personality. We probably don't even realize that we're doing that, but we do. So it can affect our job, what type of job we want to get, or type of job we're attracted to, how many or what type of friends even we might have, who we marry, where we live, and what sort of house or whatever we live in. Personality can actually affect all those decisions in life, yet we don't probably ever really think about the fact that personality in some sense is guiding our life. So
Okay.
yeah, it's very important.
But most times you talk about the type of job we get, the type of person we are attracted to or enjoy spending time with, we're making those decisions instinctively, aren't we? We're not going, I'm a sort of quiet, reflective person who likes to take a long time thinking about process. So I'm going to get a job that enables me in that environment to flourish. Most people are not making those intuitive connections. We're just drawn to certain things, and then obviously patterns have emerged and people have studied these patterns. And so what we can do...
Well, butting in, when you think about it,
Please do.
Personality is a combination of our thoughts, behaviors, emotions. So when you think of those particular areas, it's a lot of who we are.
Thoughts, behaviors, and emotions.
Yes.
But the disclaimer to that would be that we are not the pure sum total of those things. We
a
also...
lot of things, character, values. There's lots of that unseen.
Our family culture.
Yep.
Yeah. Our
Environment.
belief systems.
Yep.
Our choices, physiology, all those other things make up parts of our sense of humour.
But you are born with a personality that develops, or a temperament that develops over time. So it is an innate thing, your personality. You're born with it, but you do develop. So.
Okay, so we all have one. That's the good news. You have one. And what we're going to do today is take a look at a particular psychometric or a particular way of measuring personality traits, and that's the Myers-Briggs model, based on the psychologist Jung's work. He was a predecessor. He was a successor of Freud. I had a mental blank on Sigmund Freud. That's a bit of a sad thing, isn't it? So Jung.
That's not a bad thing.
So Jung looked at these different traits and realized there's probably 4 major dichotomies. So these are the 4 areas we're going to look at today. 4 areas of our life: the way we do life, the way we interact with people. And those 4 areas will help us understand maybe which side of the preference we are. And then once we understand that, we can maybe be a little bit more informed about how we manage pressure and situations and things. So I'm going to use a different acronym for this. Obviously, Myers-Briggs has its different acronym. By the way, I brought these along. I'm going to show my textbook. If you don't like science, this is a great book. If you don't like big, thick textbooks, you would like to see something that has very simple pictures like that, like this, like the Good News Bible. Here we go. There's pictures, with shows expressions and different ways of doing things. Here we go. That's where Mitch can zoom in on that. But it's really good. It helps you understand. Am I like that? Oh, am I like that? Am I like that? Or maybe you're somewhere in between. That's a really good book. It's called Looking at Type, and that's based on the Myers-Briggs type. Or if you love statistics, look how thick that is. It's as thick as it is wide. This is a book that goes into the science, the correlations, the data, the different, ways those personality types can be fleshed out in different scenarios. But
you're dominant everything. The grip.
You're dominant. You're inferior in the grip, under pressure. So what we're going to look at today, take a deep breath, is we're going to look at 4 letters. And those 4 letters, I'm going to call them GIFT, which spells... Gift. So your personality is a gift. God gave, as Linda said, gave you a personality at birth. It was like he created you to be a certain way. Okay, there's that nature. There's the nurture part, which environment and influence can sort of augment those things or pull on those things. But generally, we are that core self. Right. So GIFT stands for how we get things done, how we process information, where we find our energy, and finally, how we tackle decisions. So that's where we get the word gift. So the first letter, here we go, Linda. So the first letter is how do we get things done? We can either be decisive and orderly and planned and let's make it happen now, or you can be the flexible, spontaneous, see how we go, organic sort of style. So what are the benefits? Maybe describe the benefits of each of these ways of getting things done.
Okay, well, the first one, the judger, that's the one that is really good at pushing a project along. They tend to be the type of person that will take on a project and keep on it and eat the elephant bit by bit by bit until they get it done. They actually don't like unfinished projects. I'm actually a J, so if something's
Big
not
J right
finished,
there.
if something's not finished or things are messy, it actually messes with my head. I find it really hard to think and do anything. I want to finish one thing and move on to the other.
So you enjoy getting the decision made and the thing settled. It's
Yes.
decided, we're doing that.
Yes, and my style is work first, play later. Whereas Michael, it's a bit of insight here, is a P. So spontaneous, adaptable, likes to stay open to opportunities. There's always a better way of doing it. So let's not
Yeah.
decide anything.
So last
yet,
minute tweaks to the program, things like that will be coming from me, not from Linda's side.
which both have strengths in their place.
Yeah. Okay. So the judge can see something and go, we're going to get this done. Here's a great way to get it done,
Yeah.
and let's move on it. The P can be great because they keep open to opportunities and maybe tweaking things as we go. But then, what are the challenges though in terms of the relationship perhaps between a J, a decisive person, likes things ordered and structured and done, and a person who likes to keep it open and maybe procrastinates a bit? What are the tensions?
Probably the main one for the judger, they're not really open to impulse, so they don't really like, and they've set their way, they've made the decision, and they don't really like impulse in that sense or impulsive decisions. And the second thing would probably be they don't respect the perceiver who may appear to not be able to make good decisions, or that's valuated more quick decisions like they can, so they find that frustrating.
Well, we've had a thing recently. I'm the P, like the slower procrastinator, keep it open, and Linda's the very decisive person. I've had some areas where I've been thinking I want to make this decision. I feel like I've got to it now, and Linda's like, great, we can move forward with other areas of our life. And then I come back and go, I've been thinking about that thing again, and I'm not sure about that, and it's like it drives the decisive person crazy.
So from my point of view, we'll talk about something, we'll thrash it out, we'll make it what I think is we've made the decision, we'll move on, and then 3 or 4 days later, Michael will come back to me and say about that thing, and he's back at step one, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, we've made this decision. What are we talking about this again for?
See what she has to put up with you.
Yet, little beknown to me, for the last 3 or 4 days, Michael's been thinking it again like we never had the first discussion and decision. So it can be frustrating.
It can be frustrating.
Both ways.
Yeah.
Open-endedness can be quite difficult for the J.
Right.
So that
Okay.
not making a decision can be quite difficult for the J, and I suppose the decisiveness of the J is difficult for the P, because why not keep considering options, because
Let's keep it open.
might
Let's
be a
keep
better way.
all the balls in the air for a bit longer, you know.
And there might be a better way.
And sometimes there is, but sometimes you just got to make a decision, and that's the best decision, is a decision.
Yeah.
So well done. Thanks, Linda. That's good. I know what I need to work on now. So that's getting things done. Next area of personality is how we process information. So when something's happening, are we thinking like the sensor person who wants to touch it, feel it, understand it by interacting with it in the present moment with the details of that thing? Or do we want to sit back, look at how it fits into the big picture, conceptualize about it, consider the possibilities for the future about that thing? And that's the other person, which is the intuitive person. So what are the benefits of the person who takes on information in a very concrete way, Linda, versus the person who takes in things more big picture, theoretically conceptual?
So the the intuitive person will tend to come up with original ideas or original ways of tackling a project, a task, whatever. They'll tend to follow their hunch or their feeling about something. They tend to be a more macro
Yeah.
person, big picture person.
Dreamers.
Yeah, dreamers, where the sensor will be practical. They'll follow more a process. They're good observers. They're good at details, and I always remember the difference because I think this preference dichotomy could be difficult. I always think of the map. The sensor, if you're going somewhere, the sensor will get out the map and they'll plot the course and they'll know exactly and they'll stick to that course. Where the intuitive person will think, okay, it's over there, I'm going there, and it doesn't really matter how they get there. They're looking at the big picture of where they're going, not the detail of how they're going to get there. So that's a good
Okay.
way to consider that dichotomy,
Good
preference.
analogy. So it's not to say that the person who is an intuitive person, the big picture person, can't be good with details, because believe it or not, Linda is very big on the intuitive. She makes connections and can see the big picture and conceptualizes things and asks the why. And I'm even bigger like that. I'm always the why and then the how and the theory and the philosophy of something. But we can actually, follow instructions and read maps. But the natural tendency of someone who is the sensor, the tactile person, they just really love. Let's get that instruction manual out. Let's get the bits and pieces and let's put this thing together, and really love that interacting with the here and now. Okay. And any tension that can happen maybe in a relationship, either child, parent, or teacher, student, husband, wife, when someone's very big on the intuitive side, sees these big patterns versus the sensor who needs the tangible now stuff.
Intuitive people don't tend to like it when the sensor will come in and say, okay, practically, how are we going to get there? That's great. You've got this vision, you've got this dream. Now, I'm going to nail you down on the practical side of things. Intuitive people don't tend to like that because they want to keep the big...
Don't bog me in the details.
Yes. Intuitive people can sometimes make connections where they don't exist with relationships, especially with relationships. And being an intuitive person myself, I'll sometimes think they did that because of that, and you make connections where they don't exist, and that can be
That's just called That's just called paranoia, Linda. And they weren't looking at you funny. Don't think something's there. But you're right. You're looking for patterns. You see things that physically aren't there, but you're intuiting. You're intuiting things.
I think intuitive people also live too much in the future. Well, they can live too much in the future. Your life is out there. The possibilities are out there instead of actually enjoying today.
Yeah, I want the person fixing my car, operating on my body, or building my house. I want them to be a sense. I don't want them dreaming about the future. You know what? If we move the heart here, maybe we should talk to someone about that at the next conference. No, I want them being very engaged in the moment and the physical reality. All right, so that's how we take in information, how we deal with information in life. The next area is the
Hang
F.
on, we haven't talked about the sensor. So
Okay.
the downfalls of the sensor
Good.
person. So they tend to not like this idea of hunches and dreams and this macro world. They tend to...
It's fluffy, huh?
Yeah,
Too
it's fluffy. It's a good way to describe it. They tend to like the practical. This is how things work, and I'm going to follow this because that's how I see my world. They tend to rule out that type of thinking. So they could potentially miss out on a different way of looking at things or a different way of approaching things because they've got their system already.
Okay. Well, that's a good way of looking at it. If you're in a think tank or maybe a group discussion or a brainstorm, and the intuitives are going, yeah, we could do this and this, and I think the sensor, sometimes you just got to come away from the practical, but that's not practical. That's not pragmatic. It's like they've got to come out and just dream a little bit, potentially see other connections and possibilities. And then obviously their gift is in making the concrete things connect together, which is great. We need both.
We do need both.
I appreciate that. Okay. Can I move on to the next one then?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more J. Make a decision. Move on. All right. So the next letter is F, where we find our energy come from. So F is where your energy comes from. In other words, you get energy from the outside. In other words, when you're around people, you're energized. When you're around activities and things and stimulation, that's where you're able to get the oomph for yourself. Or you're an introvert, which is where you get your energy from within. You get away from the noise, the craziness, the busyness, people, and you're able to reflect and find that energy coming back into your soul, into your life. So they're the two big areas: internal thoughts and reflections, or external environment. So Linda, this is the classic one, which everyone would have heard of. It's obviously extroverts and introverts. And it's not just talking about loud people and soft people, because it's almost more about where you get your energy from, what energizes you and what drains you. So Linda, what are some of the factors of extroverts versus introverts? What are the benefits of interacting with our environments like that, of the two different styles?
Okay, so introverts tend to be the type of people who live more in their internal world, their own thoughts, their own ideas, in their head in that sense, but they tend to be good listeners. They could tend to be good observers of people. As far as in relationships, they tend to have a smaller group of friends, but are really committed to that smaller group of friends. When they're making decisions, they tend to like to take in the information, consider it in their own head, and then form an opinion based on that. They don't like being put under pressure to generally make quick decisions on the fly.
She's pointing at me when she's saying this. How do you feel about this? What do you want to do? What do you want to No, give you time to reflect, consider, because you're going to get the energy and the insight from your own pondering,
Yes.
your own reflection. Okay, so what are some of the extrovert strengths of where they get their energy from?
Well, they're great on their feet. Think of Pastor Geoff. Think of you. You're both extroverts. You're really, really good at speaking. When you come into a room, you'll tend to not dominate the conversation, but people will be drawn to you because you're interesting. What else? Not such a maybe you make people feel welcome. Like if you're in a social situation, you tend to be very open and people will be drawn to you.
But you've practiced this, because I think those of you who know Linda would agree. She's engaging, she's warm, she takes an interest in you. You make things happen. You're bubbly in a social setting. So but you're doing that. You've actually practiced how to do that. You've become more extra. You're flexed. Okay, we're probably going to have to say this for another session. We're going to talk about how do you develop the other side of your dichotomy. Still be you, because Linda, you are still an introvert. You get away from the crowds and you get in front of you play solitaire in front of the quiet TV.
Don't give away my secrets.
You're with the pussycat. You're just there quiet. You're getting your energy, but you're able to operate and function well in an extroverted sort of capacity, which is great, and it's needed sometimes. So what are the pressures that can come from extroverts and introverts trying to get on? Where's the tension come between extroverts and introverts?
Well, I think we're a good example, extrovert, introvert. If we have a conflict, we never have a conflict, but just if we do sometimes have a conflict.
On the rare occasion, that's
right. You will tend to say, okay, as you talk, you'll become clearer. As you talk about the problem to me, your thoughts get clearer and you know what you think. And then you're like, well, why don't you know what you think? But
That's right. How do you feel about this? And you like, I don't know what I feel. Like, give me some time to think about.
So I need to almost draw away and consider it all in my head, and then I will become clear. But there's definitely a pressure there to become.
I'm buying an egg timer for Christmas. I'm going to say you're an introvert. You need time to process this, ruminate, consider. I'm going to give you this much time. Would that be okay? Could you like this? No? Oh, you don't like that. But I thought you like decisions, things being settled. No?
Yeah, that's
not going to work with you?
No.
Okay.
Probably also with relationships, high extroverts in particular love being around people so much that they'll get a bit sad if they're not around people. They need to be with people. And really strong introverts or people that are really introverted, the opposite. They don't want to be around people so much. So you can imagine in a marriage or a relationship, those two styles could really repel, because the introvert doesn't want to be going to the party or doesn't want to be going out all the time, and the extrovert does and has to feel that, get that energy.
Let me go and play with my friends. Yeah.
So it can be a tricky situation.
But if you're aware of the needs of another, it's the whole thing. People say you can have sympathy, yeah, but to have empathy, you have to understand what the person might be going through, and then you can go, okay, yes, I don't have that myself, but I feel like if I did have that, I would need that time to reflect, or I need that time to get out with more friends. And so you can have informed empathy, isn't it, really?
I think also you've got to consider no one is 100% an introvert, and no one is 100 or any of these an extrovert.
Well, explain.
In certain situations, an introvert could appear to be like an extrovert because, okay, with a small group of friends, they could actually be doing all the talking and getting right into it, because in a certain setting, we're never one thing or the other. We're always degrees of it.
Well, I think one of the reasons why we've stayed married, because as Lynn said,
Apart
I'm an
from
extrovert.
being Christians.
And that's right. Thank you, Lord. But more the fact that I actually, even though I'm extroverted, I need that energy and stimulation. It's only for so much. Then I've got to get home. I've got to get away, and that's actually means that's great, because Linda she's ready to go. So we know we need that time of just recalibrating and quietness and getting the energy from within and getting away from the arousal. So actually it's good. If I was out there more and more, it's like it'd be hard to get on the same pace. So it's good that I have that introverted sort of capacity as well.
So in conflict, I think the introvert can seem a bit standoffish and not want to engage, or even in a party. Or the extrovert can appear to be dominating, or even in a social setting can become bored if the conversation isn't maybe centered around them or what they're interested in. So that can be a bit of a point for making friends or being in social situations.
Okay, so we need to augment our style to get on with others.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where we get our energy from the outside, extroversion, or from inside by ourselves, introversion. All right, last one. This is a T, G-I-F-T, the gift that God's given you to be you. And that's another whole session. We'll talk about the fact that a lot of, and particularly Christians, they'll judge one of these dichotomies, or even in workplaces, we value certain preferences, a style of being more than another, and it's not right. They're meant to all be appreciated.
But going back to that's the thing of personality and how it will direct your life. You will tend to, according to your personality, be in a certain type of workplace. So.
Right.
Hopefully that has directed you already to where you thrive.
Okay.
Sorry to jump
okay,
in.
so you can reverse engineer and say, oh, I'm here. That makes sense, because I am like that, and I am drawn to that, and that's why it's working. If it's not working, doesn't mean you're in the wrong job necessarily, but it means that maybe there's a disparity in your needs for your personality to be expressed.
Yeah.
All right, so the last one is T, how we tackle decisions. So, Linda, the two big ways in which when we're confronted with a situation or a decision to be made, is either by using predominantly logic, so thinking about it rationally, logically, what's the information, what's the data, how do we make this work, analyzing it like that, or the F, the feeler, which is responding based on the value of that thing to my instinctive, how I feel about it, my values about that, and maybe how it might affect other people. So this is a big one, and I'll have to give a disclaimer at the end of this, but the biggest difference between a thinker and a feeler, can you take us through that, Linda, the benefits of a way of like a personality of a thinker versus the feeler?
Well, the thinker, as you said, is analytical. They're quite objective when they're making decisions. They can look at things. This is value laden, but in a sense, in a fair way, and dissect this situation. They can critique it in a way that they don't take things personally. They can actually be very analytical.
Objective.
Yeah, and objective when looking at a decision and making a decision. So that's a real strength of a T. Whereas the F will tend to make a decision based on sometimes harmony. They can be quite tactful. They're quite sympathetic to people's feelings. They tend to focus their decisions on people and how people will feel about the decision. So you can see the T and the F, they're quite different ways of looking at things. So that can be quite a conflict with people. One is quite analytical, the T is quite analytical, and the F is quite, I suppose, sympathetic or empathetic to people's feelings and how they feel about it, what's happening.
Now, this is interesting. Thanks for that, Linda. It's very interesting because you're probably thinking it sounds like the F is the more Christian, nice person, right? Now, obviously, half the world think they're about 50-50.
No, there's more F's and
There's
T's.
more, okay, but what is it, 55, 60%, 40%?
I think it's more like 45.
And ladies,
55.
there's more lady feelers, and okay, so men tend to be a high proportion of thinkers, women feelers.
As far as I and the E, there's more E's and I.
Don't go down.
You don't want to go.
Stay on that.
Okay,
Don't
sorry.
go there. Stay on point, darling.
Okay.
Stay on the T.
So
The T and F.
there's more F's and T's.
Okay, but the thing is, we think, the feeler. Oh, I should be a feeler. Those of you who know Linda and myself, you might be thinking now. A lot of people think I'm a feeler because I'm, how you going? And when I'm saying that,
no
by the way,
one makes that mistake with me.
and I think people who talk about their cats or people that come to you for counselling, I think they think you're very empathetic and
I am.
And yeah, you are. But you're thinking analytically about something. And even though I've maybe got traits of warmth and others' orientation, hopefully we all grow like in that as Christians. We want to serve and love others. When I'm confronted with a decision, tackling a decision, I go straight not to, how do I feel about that or how might that affect everyone? I'm thinking, what's the most strategic, pragmatic, and optimized way of going about this? What's logic say?
Well, it's not that you don't care about people.
No, but that's how but I'm going to care about people by going to when someone's crying. My first question is not, the poor thing. My question is, okay, should I get the tissues or should I get someone else to get the tissues? So it might seem like, that's like.
Well, how can I fix their problem rather than letting them feel what they're feeling?
Right. There you go. Yes, I feel it is very comfortable sitting down with someone and crying. You and I, we don't like that so much. We want to help them. We want to. Okay, who can I connect you with? What can I do? Can I call someone for you? But we're not feeling it in the same way. And so straight away, some of you who are feelers going, that's terrible. You should just feel it. And that's the same as a logical, the thinker person who drives a lot of their decision on logic. It's like saying to that person who just goes, no, I just feel for you. Say, what's wrong with you? You should be solving the problem. What's wrong with you? It's not very logical, like some sort of Vulcan sort of thing. It's not very logical. No, we need both, but we all have a propensity or a comfortability with the two. So how does that play out in the situation, and what are the downsides?
Well, you can already see that the T won't necessarily consider how people feel when they make decisions, and they can come across as critical. Now, generally they don't mean to it; they're just really analytical. But you can see with the F, they take criticism really personally. So you can see already there's an issue there because one likes to critique and one thinks they're critiquing them, and the the feeler will tend to make decision based on people's feelings rather than potentially the best decision.
Right.
Sometimes you can't. You have to just make a decision, and not everyone's going to be happy, and the feeler will find that really difficult. So you can see there's quite a tension there.
Okay. But when you say we've noticed this in people, that someone's very quick at just saying how they feel about something, and I don't like that. They're not. Sometimes so you can be a feeler, but actually be abrupt because you're very comfortable with your feelings. You're very comfortable with saying how something should affect others emotionally, and can almost come across a bit judgmental in that regard. Whereas a thinker,
I'm not going there.
Why are you going there? Because this is good stuff. Because thinkers will go, I think if I said this now, that might. They'll self-censor potentially a little bit more, like a thinker that's, I guess, developed some tact.
No style's right or wrong.
No, not right or wrong, but there's a tendency that you can potentially just jump in and just say, well, I don't like that. We should just do this, because you're very comfortable with just saying how you feel. That's a value. You're being who you are. So that's being raw. Authentic, feeler, right? But feelers need to also think, okay, maybe should I hold back on that for the moment and give someone else a chance to be a part of the solution, or maybe there's another way I can help. And the thinkers can then, of course, go before we just go straight to the cold, hard analysis and, well, maybe they should think about that before they went and had too many kids, or they go, what, is there something we can do? Can we maybe sponsor when you're foster? We're getting deep into solving someone's problem. Maybe it's a prophetic session where we're solving someone's problem. But there's a whole lot of great stuff here. Now, Linda, we probably have to save the rest of it for a session 2. So, Pastor Geoff, hopefully on the outro you can say they'll be back for more. But what did you want to sort of close off on?
I think the final thing is there's no wrong or right personality. Everyone has a bit of each in them. It's more about preference. So it's what you prefer. but you're obviously, as I said earlier, not all one thing or the other.
No.
And I think it's about wanting to get on with people and having an attitude that you're not right. So, and well, nobody's right. We all have to just augment and work with each other and do our best to get on. And if God's in the mix, obviously in the middle, I should say, then I think that's something that's not that hard to do.
We haven't even, haven't even mentioned the Holy Spirit. This is the whole thing. We're taking that God. This whole thing is a gift from God. But you're right, Linda. Right in the middle of who we are and what we're grappling with, we ask for the Holy Spirit's wisdom. Say, Lord, my natural propensity is to want to speak like this, go to this place, do things like this. Yes, Linda's pointing to the time. She's pointing to the time, isn't it? But the thing is, God can actually make what we do even better because he makes all things new. He makes things better. So we will come back and I'd love to talk about how we can flex who we are. So we're still who we are, but we can be what we need to be in any given situation. So let me pray for you, and then we'll close off and hand back to Pastor Geoff. So, Father, thank you for these wonderful people who are listening to our Grow session tonight. Lord, we all have great personalities, but we also have areas we know we need to work on. Be considerate of others, perhaps just not be so hard on ourselves sometimes, Lord. But we are who we are, and you've made us complete and special and perfect in your way, and particularly if we just surrender our will and our lives to you. So I pray for those that maybe don't know you, Lord. They're hearing this and they've either not made a commitment to you, or maybe they've made a decision to follow you, but they've lost their way. They've wandered away and going back to their own way of doing things. I pray for them right now that, God, you absolutely have the open arms of a father, and you welcome them home. And if you'd like to respond to tonight, can I simply put up on the screen there, if you would put the number up, 0488 826 392. If you text that number, the three letters YES, YES, to 0488 826 392, that's a way of you saying, yes, I do want to commit my life to God. I do want to follow him. I want to commit my way to him. I want him to give me a brand new start. He'll do that for you tonight. And one of our team will be able to send through some helpful information, some scriptures to encourage you in your walk. Maybe you're on email, and that's yes.metrochurch.org.au. And we'll, of course, love to connect with you. But it's been a pleasure. There'll be more chances to grow together. So thank you, Pastor Linda, for your insights, for being fairly going pretty easy on me. And we'll be back for part 2, perhaps. So back to you, Pastor Geoff. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, Linda. We're looking forward to part 2. Hey, listen, don't get worried if you go, oh, that was just so much and where do I fit? Why don't you consider coming to the SHAPE course that we run here at Metro? The next one's coming up in about a month or so's time from now. And, there will be a work time where you can actually dig into that and discover in a very easy way how it is that God has made you unique. And I would encourage you to be a part of that. Pastor Michael also spoke about receiving Jesus into our life. And I never get tired of hearing the amazing stories about how God has worked to draw people to himself. And I know that he prayed with you. If you've said yes to Jesus, I'm real excited for you. I know that it will be the beginning of the greatest time of your entire life as you begin to follow Jesus. Remember this, that he said, I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. It doesn't matter if you trip, you stumble. He says, I'm going to be there for you. And I know that the church is a great community of faith that will build you. And we'd love you to be a part of services here at Metro as often as you can, allowing God to build your life. He mentioned the yes text, where you send in YES either to that number 0488 826 392, or if you prefer to get a help via email, then it's yes.metrochurch.org.au. We'll send you the next day after we get your yes, we'll send you a Bible verse and a prayer. Fits on one screen of a smartphone, by the way. You get a different prayer and a different Bible verse every single day for 30 days. There's no obligation, no pressure. We won't ask you for anything. We want to be a part of encouraging you in your walk with God. And I know so many people have told me how much impact that yes text had. So send in your yes. We'll start praying for you straight away. And we'll be just excited to see what God does in your life. Speaking about excitement, though, one of the things I still love after all these years, I love giving. I don't just love seeing other people give, I love the opportunity to be a blessing. And I've never had a day where there isn't someone somewhere that I don't have an opportunity to be able to speak to. I don't have an opportunity to be able to bless or to encourage in some way or other. And that's why we always take time in every one of our services, online as well, to celebrate our giving. Thank you to all those of you who are faithful in your tithes, your offerings, in Destiny offering. Thank you so much for that. I want to pray a great blessing over your giving. Can we do that? Father, thank you for everybody who's just expressing their love to you in their giving right now. This is far more to us, Lord, than money, far more to us than a few clicks of a mouse or a few taps on a screen to set it up, Lord. This is our heart into this. We are loving you and loving what you're doing. We believe, Lord, that what we are giving to your church is going to last throughout all of eternity. There could be nothing better that we could invest in than your kingdom. So, Father, bless every home, bless every life, bless every giver, I pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Hey, God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of that. By the way, if you are a part of this on this last Sunday of September, know that on the first Sunday of October, that Sunday the 1st, we've got Faith, Hope and Love in the evening at 5 p.m. We'd love you to come and pray with us, come and believe God with us, come and worship with us. Then you can stay, purchase dinner afterwards. And there's a fantastic Metro Kids craft program as well on at the same time at 5. And we would just love to see you. God bless you all. And we'll look forward to part 2 with Pastor Michael and Linda. God bless.